Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Or if it's the first time you've watched one of this series of interviews with myself and other shaman, then welcome for the first time. My name's Joe, and I'd like to introduce you to Matoula Piscopani. So, Matoula's going to tell us all about herself and about her work and medicine wheel journey. Um, but just to kind of kick us off, I'm trying to remember exactly how long ago it was we first met, but it was in Mykonos, I think.
It was in Mykonos when I used to live back then.
Yeah.
I lived a lifetime in Mykonos actually. And it was funny the way you came in my life because I'm going to say also how we've been introduced and how I came across my path of the shaman. So it's quite an interesting story. Since I was a kid, I was reading Carlos Castaneda's books.
Mm.
It was all about the shamans and the way of the shamans, but without necessarily speaking about what they were doing there. It was a very intriguing world for me in my own fantasy as a child. And I left it back then in my childhood years. But later, years and years later, when I started my own spiritual journey in my own work and breath work and Reiki and, all about it, I had already completed my studies in breathwork. I was already renowned in my breathwork world. And it was years later I had in 2017 that I was sitting in a very beautiful and very expensive hotel in Mykonos with amazing views, with a friend that we have in common. And I didn't know you back then, but I was sitting with him and having a drink. And we were catching up because we hadn't seen each other for a long time. And he was asking me questions about breathwork and how it helps because he's also interested in these spiritual journeys. And then he started saying how he had a shamanic session with someone, obviously meaning you, but I had no idea back then. And that he was really interested into this. And I said, oh, how funny this is because I'm also interested right now and open to delve into this world of the shamans too. And I was hoping to meet a teacher, a shaman teacher, because I would love to go and find out more about it and perhaps, get engaged in this path. And he said, oh, how funny this is. Joe is coming in October, and I think it was back in June. And it was either 2017 or 2018. I think it was 17. And there you go. I told him, I don't think he's coming for you. I think he's coming for me. Because there was this calling from within myself for quite some time. It's been like the last 2 years of 2018, like back in 2016 onwards, I was started having a call about it. And in 2018, it was quite concrete. I knew that I wanted to follow it. So when I heard you coming and I said, okay, that's the guy that is coming basically, for me. And so through him, I reached you and we started having a direct communication on WhatsApp, and you came to in my place in Mykonos, and we organized a first gathering with friends and people that would really interested and open to hear what the path is. And I think you had a few sessions. I also had my first shamanic session, and being quite at ease in experiencing in my body, the sensations and the work, I was pretty impressed by how powerful it's been without me realizing anything of what had happened. I have no clue what had happened. The only thing I knew was that I was lying down there, crying my eyes out and really feeling everything in my body. And I I was really open after that to get to know more about the work and just follow the path. And that was the start and the beginning of our journey, both together as a student of yours and also my start of the medicine wheel.
well, the beginning as a student and also as friends.
Yes.
And yeah, so we first, I remember that afternoon. Um, I think even there were two guys traveling from Spain, two lovely chaps, and they'd kind of reached out. They were looking for, I think they'd come to Mykonos, not for the nightlife,
No,
which it is also famous for, um, but they came for a kind of spiritual, energetic experience and connection. They were looking for these things.
true. And
Um,
there was also another guy that is half Brazilian, half Spanish, and
oh, yes,
connected to
yes.
Shaman in Brazil that I went later to go meet. But he was also there. It was quite an interesting evening with wow, quite different people, huh?
Yeah, it was a lovely evening. Um, I think just with logistics and the timing of things, it was a little while after that that you started the medicine wheel with me. I think there was an opportunity the following spring, but it didn't fit. Um, I think you were back in Mykonos working then, and the program was in Athens. But you did come to do the Munai Key course then before the medicine wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did the Moonlight Key and the initiations, and I think I did some more work. I can't remember now what it was. And then we started the first medicine wheel because I've already completed two, I think. I think two. Yeah, at least two. But the first one started in Mykonos, the south direction. We started together in Mykonos. Do you remember that? And there were people coming and flying from the UK as well.
Two ladies from the UK, and they both approached me. I'd started the that year's program in England. Yes, I had. In a beautiful rural location in the Forest of Dean.
Mm.
If there are any Harry Potter fans, J.K. Rowling, Harry Potter, listening in, you'll know that the forest scenes from the last movies, when the heroes, heroines are all up, the kids are all on the run. And these were filmed in the Forest of Dean. It's an ancient forest. It's been managed for forestry and coal mining for many years, but it's also a center that draws lots of people who are looking for holidays, relaxation, tourist experiences now. A very beautiful place. And it held a lovely energy for us to do our work there. But we'd already started. And I offered them the opportunity because I know you wanted to start. Um, there was another lady, wasn't one of your friends, one of your neighbors, someone that were,
Yes, from
yeah,
Mykonos.
yeah. And the two came from the UK. And I did say to them afterwards, because there wasn't enough people in coming to Mykonos and connecting with us at that time to do this work. So the invitation was then to come to Athens, I think the next month,
Mm.
to do the West class.
Yeah.
But they
Uh,
both went, they decided not to do that, but to come to the class in the UK. But you came to the West. Yeah.
I
It was,
completed the first medicine wheel. I think the first two directions were kind of like flew easy, but to arrive at the north, I think it was like 6 months that we stayed facing the west. It was quite important and interesting, and it's also very interesting how it's the second journey in the medicine wheel. I remember it was in between COVID times, and it was like incredible how we managed basically you to fly from UK to finish the medicine wheel here. It was like, I don't know, so interesting times and at the same time so surreal. It was like surrealistic, all of it with
it
empty.
was, yes. Yeah, I remember coming and going and all of the extra things, the tests and stuff like that. And
Very strict rules here, also. So it
Very
was
much. You have to have if you go out when there was the most intense part of the lockdowns, and maybe just to set the scene, we talk about this a bit, but we don't want to make this into a whole sort of dialogue about social distancing and things. But it was a real challenge. If you leave the house, you have to have a sheet of paper, or you do it on the phone, and you have to
and messages.
tell them where you're going and how long you're going to be there, and it has to be for a justifiable reason.
Yeah, correct.
But and it was the same here for a while. We had this really intense lockdown, um, and some of my workshops were postponed. We had a window of opportunity for one of them at one point because they were allowing certain activities, and you could come together for educational purposes. And that is what this is. It's a it's a tradition. There are ancient healing skills. But it's also teaching and learning. And I suppose if you want to play with words, we could say it's training or education for life, but for the life that we haven't been prepared for, but a life that's always been available to us. And I think that's maybe what, in my experience, brings a lot of people to the start of the medicine wheel, is looking for the life that they've been missing, the life that they feel they should be able to step into and have, because other people have something similar, but that they've never walked that path. They've never been told about it as a child. It's just kind of mainstreamed in more of a consensus kind of way.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned because to me, this is exactly the themes of our life. That's how, in each direction we work around these themes, you know. So about our surviving skills, you know, in the South,
Mm,
about our beliefs and our emotional state and how this materializes in life in the West. What more is there, you know, North? And you know, connecting to everything, letting go in the east, becoming, being, you know, it's an amazing journey. But that's why I brought, and perhaps it came to me how we were kind of like stuck as a group in the West in the first medicine wheel for the six months. It felt like 6 eons back then.
mm,
All
it
the
is.
things, the ancestry line, and you know, oh, it was just huge. It was huge. And all the themes of the medicine wheel, number two medicine wheel with COVID and things that was surreal. It was quite interesting. So I can't miss it or miss out saying that it's the way of the shaman is in many more ways much more than anybody can think of, you know. And it's an entity of its own. Once you're there, you just allow the directions to work through me, through my body, through my life, through my spirit, through my beliefs, through my emotions, through my physical body.
Mm.
And that's how I allow myself to go create um, who I am, go connect with this part of my destiny rather than my fate.
It, it's interesting for me the way you were talking about the difference with the South and the West and then moving to the North. Um, and I think it's easy to see the events of recent years as something in their own independent right. But we can join everything up and look at how the connections are made and, for example, how we were working with the medicine wheel and the directions of the medicine wheel and the teachings, and how that fits in also with our day-to-day experiences at a time when there was social distancing and a virus and all these other things. Because the south and the west of the medicine wheel bring us into contact with, into focus with things that we're very familiar with. When you step into the south of the medicine wheel and do you have your mesa there, your medicine bundle? Yeah. So this is Matoula's medicine bundle. This is mine. Mine's heavier. It's bigger stones.
Mine is. It's smaller because you actually had suggested pick up small stones. Remember that?
Oh,
We were
yeah,
looking at
because
on the beach. And I was trying to find my West stones and I was saying the small ones. And I'm like, okay, I got it. Because I was going to get some of them were calling me and they're quite biggish. And you said, pick
but
this, you will remember that later. And I'm like, okay, I'll follow that. I'm not going to question it. I'm really happy it's quite small because I travel often. Oh, wow. What's
this
that?
is a lovely stone, right? This is from a place, a sacred site near the top of Sacred Valley of the Incas.
Looks like meteorite.
Ah,
It's a stone, it's a pebble. It's
uh,
beautiful.
it's from Rumiok. It's a beautiful, remote, ancient site in the Andes near Cusco, and it was used very much by the Incas for their
Mm,
ceremonies.
wow.
Yok. Yok is a word that means power. Um, and Kia, Mama Kia, is the moon, grandmother moon. So Kia Rumi Yuk means the place or stone or altar that has the power of the moon. So this is the stone from the place of the power of the moon.
It's amazing. I'm glad it's not in your mesa, by the way.
Well, look where I showed it to you. You know, if this was filled with this kind of stones, it would be, I don't know what that weighs, but it'd be too heavy. It's heavy enough to
Hmm.
carry. But yeah.
I don't know if people know what's in a mesa, but we're going to show them in a minute. But I want to say that um, shamanic work is quite powerful. It's very simple. And sometimes people, because they don't really understand if they haven't delved into it, they can think of anything. But it's about the energy that is in our cellular memory. And it sits there and directs our emotions and thoughts and behavior and life in general. And that's how we go stuck into either fate or using that, we can just move in our destiny who we're destined to be. So in here, there might be pebbles and stones and things, but it's much more than that because it carries all the laughter and the cry and the, the magical work that
Joy
happens.
and tears. Yeah.
So it's the medicine. People might choose a stone, but they don't just choose a stone when they work with the mesa.
So true. Really, they're choosing the medicine, not the stone.
Yeah,
But the just to say, yeah, inside your mesa, what you want are, in a way, it's like small stones, big medicine.
exactly.
But it's always interesting. The south of the medicine wheel, the beginning, it reflects everything that's happened to us in this life. And we work with everything we identify with in these ways to free ourselves up, to loosen the way these old stories and identities hold us. And the west of the medicine wheel, also very familiar, we're dealing with the beliefs and the feelings created from the reality that we perceive we have lived through, because there are the actual literal events, and then there's the way we understand them. Um, for example, if someone gets hit by someone's hand or arm, like maybe there's a swinging movement, their experience will be someone hit me. I will interpret it, if it's me, as I'm in danger or they don't like me. That turns into I think they're horrible anyway. What we don't know is whether it was a total accident. I'm going to stop hitting myself in the face. A total accident or intentional. Yes, but we interpret from our side without seeking out extra information. And this creates our beliefs about the world. The world is full of people waiting to slap me in the face. Or the world is full of people waving their arms around, flailing uncontrollably for some other reason, and you just have to duck out of the way. It's not personal, it's just something in the world.
And it's interesting because what you just mentioned, which I call the South, like our survival instinct, which is exactly what you describe, the science of psychology describes it as the developmental stage. It's very crucial for the way we behave later and we feel and we think and we connect ourselves with the world and reflects the world we see, the way we look at it. So it's very crucial to understand that these stages had already been there for the shamans, and all science came up and backed up with research everything that they've been doing for years, including psychiatry, with the particular aspects of the brain about where is colibri sitting, the north, where is, the reptilian brain of ours, the survival. So it just, if you look at it in a broader angle and perspective, you can really see how everything is connected in a very deep, wise way,
Well,
rather than.
it offers people a different map, doesn't it, to use to navigate their lives, their reality. And I think that's one of the great helpfulnesses, if that's a word, in shamanism, is that it offers people a different perspective, and we work with archetypical energies and essences and archetypical perceptual states, relating these to the organizing principles of the universe. So, moving from the serpent archetype in the south and the jaguar in the west, which is the ways we relate to the world a lot, the colibri, the hummingbird, that is the archetype that relates to the north of the medicine wheel, is about cultivating and stepping into a different view, a more expansive, outward looking view that begins to connect us with other ways of seeing and understanding and interpreting things. Um, People, when I listen to how, so students, for example, on the medicine wheel, often they find this a challenging archetype to develop a relationship with, and they pull in information from Jaguar's view, which is often dramatic and oh yeah, dramatic.
Oh,
This
is
happened
that
to me.
how it feels, right? It
And
feels, yeah.
and they imagine that the hummingbird offers an opportunity to access a future that's opposite to the past. And this is borrowing from the way we usually see the world, that what we want is totally different to what we've got.
Yeah, it almost looks like a separation. It's like the split,
Yeah.
which also happens. It's the split that happens for us, and that's why we go so dramatic, And I'm only speaking from the perspective of psychology because, I also come from this field,
Mm.
finishing my studies in mental health as a counselor and also jumping into psychotherapy right now. I'm really happy that I've done this after I've done all my experiential work and I give it a different meaning. But also, it's not coincidental that I decided to follow an approach of psychology that is integrative. It's very experiential rather than cognitive, it's like very much into it. So the first split as it happens, it's like the colibri is like it, what's the word for it? It's bringing it together, this split in a different angle and different perspective, as in you don't need to split yourself, but you need to split the beliefs from you and allow yourself to move.
We have a little video, don't we,
Hmm.
that you made about your work. So
Sneak peek into the mesa.
yeah, maybe we can show that in a second. And then you can talk about the other aspects of your work, so the psychology, the psychotherapeutic side, and breath work, shamanism, everything you do a little bit, so that people get a sense of the kind of wholesomeness, the holistic approach, and the kind of resources that you have that you use to inform your work and might use in your work. Um, I just wanted to kind of draw back for a second to this thing about what you were saying about the north of the medicine wheel within the times of the social distancing and lockdowns and things. Yeah. And then 6 months in the west. Now, I got to say, yeah, it is challenging. The more time we spend in the west, the more challenging it can feel, but also the more rewarding. Depends on where you start from. The west of the medicine wheel offers us an opportunity to dive into our shadow, which, also from the psychology side, you think as the deep unconscious, something like this, Jungian terms. Um, so there can be a tendency to try to go through the west of the medicine wheel on the surface. Yeah. It's and in a way, trying to kind of skim over the top without disturbing the froth on the top of your coffee. Yes, or I don't know, I'm trying to find another similar metaphor, but the length of time allows opportunity to go deeper. And it's in these deeper places, we think that the thing we fear is going to be in those deep places. Everything we've hidden, and it's because we're not familiar with it. We've closed it off. We don't go there. We hide away from it, because we've been told, probably by other people or interpreted life's experiences, that those parts of us aren't valuable. They're not valued by others or the world around us, and yet we're incomplete without them. Um, and it's important to own all those parts of ourselves. So this lockdown and the social distancing that shaped the time scale with the medicine wheel and so many other things created the crisis, created an opportunity. And I think I just wanted to sandwich this bit in because it's so important. I wanted to be the big filling in the sandwich if we're talking about the directions of the medicine wheel, because the north of the medicine wheel is where all of the healing work that you've done in the journey up to that point really has an opportunity to begin to have an effect, because we've cleared so much of what's behind us. Yeah, and it's what's behind us that creates the momentum that pushes us forwards. And when we're not pushed forwards, of course, you don't know where you're going. Nothing's driving you. There's no momentum. It's scary, and you want to pull back what you know. But right in front of you are a range of new opportunities. And when you say splitting, I think it's more than two paths. There are a myriad of possible futures at any junction in our life. And so, whether people made use of it or how they made use of it, the opportunity was there, created by these lockdowns. And I think they fit into a bigger scheme of opportunities for people, to begin to measure up, what are they carrying? What are we carrying in our life that has become a burden more than a resource or a help? So we can drop that baggage, move forward more easily. Less baggage, less mass, less weight, easy to change direction, navigate for a different future. Anyway, we said nothing about the east of the medicine wheel. Maybe that'll show up somewhere else. Although, no, I don't know. I know you've mentioned to me about a power animal, which isn't is that a llama on your coffee cup?
It is a llama on my coffee
No.
cup.
No.
Cocoa.
It's not a llama, and it's not an animal. It's a what? Sorry.
I'm drinking cocoa,
Oh, you
and
drink cocoa, not coffee.
it's a cocoa llama. And I love this cup. It was a gift. But I want to share that from everything you mentioned, I find it really important to share that it totally felt when I was doing the medicine wheel on my skin and deep down in my body, the weight of the West and my ancestry line and all the burdens I was carrying, and how it took 6 months to move to the hummingbird, to the north side, to the north direction, where everything flies in a higher dimension. And as we move, that's the split. The split is like moving away from the old stories, you know? And it's different to the split I meant in psychology, which is because of the stories, we decide to split from our core. And
Mhm.
that's the split that psychology speaks about. So the split happens as a mechanism of defense, a defensive mechanism. I need to survive. I need to create a different world I can be in and be safe, you know? So, and there's a split into the core, from the core, and that's not good, of course. Obviously, the hummingbird is the travel, is the journey to rectify the split. I don't need to be split from within myself. I don't need to be split from my core and my essence. I need to split myself from these beliefs.
And yet, sorry to interrupt, but when you say it's not good, I'm wondering
Yeah.
that I might not notice listening to you that your first language for speaking isn't English, it's Greek.
Yes.
But it's like yes, maybe you sound more like an English person who's picked up a Greek accent from living.
I love that.
The when you say good, okay, um, what I wonder, maybe suggest, is that there has to be value in this kind of splitting and dissociating process, or it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
We lose something, we lose connection with a part of ourselves, but it's a sort of self-preservation, like you were saying in the beginning, survival.
Thank you for actually pointing this out. And indeed, it was not that I meant it's a bad thing to happen. I meant it doesn't feel good within ourselves. That's what I meant. It's not good. And thank you for bringing this opportunity for me to share exactly what I really feel about it, rather than make it right or wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just occurred to me while I was listening. Um, shall I was going to say, shall we show the video, but I keep drawn to this image behind your left shoulder. Who's that on the wall?
Oh, I need to introduce you to my
Oh,
archangel.
something special.
It's an image that appeared to me when I bought this house, and I was coming in to just have a feel and see what are the changes I want to make, because I totally renewed it from scratch. It was a very old house built back in the 1973s, and it was the same when I bought it. So it definitely needed some, good renovation. And I was kind of like into the space, just feeling and see what I want to change, how I want to change it, to get the feel of the space. And I just shut my eyes, and the first image I had, it was the image of this archangel. And I connect with the archangels in Greece. We celebrate name days, the meaning of our names. So the meaning of my name in Greek comes from an ancient word that basically connects to archangels in the day of the archangel celebration day. And it's basically God's order to seize the drop of humanity back to, and the restoration of the divinity in the universe, like being rectified to where we truly belong as human race. And God gave this order to Archangel Michael.
And this is Michael behind you.
This is a combination of Archangel Michael and Gabriel, because he holds the spear of Archangel Michael and he holds the sphere of Archangel Gabriel. He's the A and Omega. He's the one that takes the life and he's the one that gives the life together. So I've called it and I've named it Angel of the Lord,
Angel
Agel Kiriou.
Agio Kyrio.
Agelos Kiriou.
Aguilar. All right, everyone join in at home. Say it again now, because I
Repeat after me.
what's scary.
Agelos Kiriou.
Give it to me one more time. Agilos
Kiriou.
Kyrio. Do I have to smile like that? It's a Kyrio. It's hilarious. In teaching in Greece, I've tried to learn a little bit, right? Um, it is a little bit, but the funniest thing is that I'd stand up and I'll say something to the group or to someone, and I think I got it right. I think I'm being clear and I'm being, fluent to my capacity, and everyone just looks at me and they go, "What did he say? I don't know. Ask him. I don't ask. He just said it. I don't. What did he say? What did you say?" And then I've forgotten what I've said. Or I get a little bit anxious about saying it again in Greek, but um,
You're
it's an
doing great.
interesting language. So,
Oh, it's
agi-
so different.
agilos Kyrio.
Angelos
Ag-
Kyriou.
Agilos Kyrio.
That's it, you got it. Angel of the Lord.
Convinced I've got it quite right, but Angel of the Lord. Lovely. Shall we see the video?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Hang on a second. So just put my
It's a
glass.
bit, actually, it's recorded in Mykonos as you're trying to find it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Recorded in Mykonos.
sorry?
Yep. Could you tell us more about it?
Yeah.
I'll press play now. Recorded in.
This summer,
Shall
actually.
I press play now, or yeah? Let's play the movie. Just have to get the play button. Oh, I thought it was longer. That's
No.
lovely. I love that. I wish I had an office that looked like that. Like
Yeah.
doors by the swimming pool and then swimming pool beside the sea.
I'm quite lucky, to be honest. I feel grateful in my life for all the journeys and the places I've been, the people I've worked with. And it's just, I used to live there, now I'm back in Athens, but I do the work often in Mykonos. And this summer I was for 3 times there, and I stayed minimum 15 days. I worked with people from all over the world and locals. I did workshops, all kinds of private sessions, counseling in mental health, breathwork, shamanic sessions, workshops, and I'm going to go back this year again. And I do online work too. So, but it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I never really felt I had an easy life. I feel blessed to have walked the talk and be in integrity with everything that I've been taught and everything that I carry myself and I give to others. So it's like that's what is really important to me in every kind of experience or training or anything that I delve into. It's important to me to become from integrity from this space.
Yes. Um, when you mentioned breath, I think in the video it's shamanic healing, breath work. I can see some oracle cards.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
bizarre.
because I do intuitive work as well, and I do it either with a Greek cup reading, or I do it like in a channeling session. Um, but it's nothing like I really advertise that because I don't want people to think I'm a medium, although the skills come and flow. And I also work very selectively with this with people because it's important for me for people to understand first that it's not about fortune telling, it's about coming in connection with the inner parts that their soul wants them to connect rather than, oh, what are you going to do next week, next month, next year, you know? And of course, somebody can know what are the energies that he's called or she's called in to delve in and manifest in life. And as a result, they have a privilege and a gift to change it if they want. But it's not about fortune telling at all.
No, nice to get that clear so people know.
Yeah, it's very empowering.
Hmm. Um, and you have, I'm asking everyone about power animals.
Yes.
And you were telling me earlier about yours, which is a little bit different to the other ones we've talked about, um, except that it is personal and there's special meaning for you, which the other ones do for other people.
Yeah.
So just before you tell us about this amazing animal, this animal being that you want to talk about, um, I just wanted to mention uh, about the medicine wheel and the teaching and training in Greece again.
Please come back.
Okay.
Come back. It's about time we start again.
Well,
Shall we tell them the secret now that we're starting in Greece another medicine wheel cycle?
we are, yes, yes, we are indeed. And I was going to start by saying, you've got a busy year coming. Well, I've got a busy year coming too, because we're looking in 2025, we're going to offer again um, the medicine wheel of the Incas and a number of other supporting workshops that go along with it. So if people are interested in that, they can contact either of us. Uh,
Sure.
someone, everyone will be following this conversation in English, but if they want to speak about the medicine wheel to either of us in English, they can speak to either of us. But equally, if they're following in English, but they prefer to speak in Greek, then they could contact you and get all the details.
Sure. And I suggest right now, and it's not something we have discussed so far, but I'm open to discuss it with you, that it's a good idea at some point we set up a different Zoom call and we can speak about what's coming, especially for Greece in this medicine wheel with dates too.
Just capitalizing on the opportunity to mention it. So anyway, I'm going to put something in the notes under the video about it.
Sure.
And so would you like to tell us about the
My partner,
right and the way you understand it that you feel has a your connection with or a special relationship, something? What is it you'd like to tell us?
of course. So there's two animals, but actually these two animals kind of like it's one eventually. So I was always drawn to the eagle because it has this um, ability to fly, hovering from very high distance, looking everything from a different perspective. And it's much more round, much more like not into things. Um, and it always gave me this freedom of this flying, but flying with no struggle, flying with just a span open, literally flowing with everything. And a deep sense of tranquility and peace, which really talks to me, to my soul. And there's the swan that gave me always the feeling of something that is supreme, a quality that is supreme, without really knowing what is this quality, without me putting my finger like saying this quality is that. Some quality that's really supreme is quite not able to be talked about in that matter. So when I went to visit my teacher, Babaji, in a new body, he talked about the Paramhansa.
Mm.
And the Paramhansa is basically the supreme swan. And it talked exactly how I always felt these two creatures within me somehow combined without necessarily being one or the other. It just made sense, but it took me years, to be honest, because visiting an enlightened person like that, it's not an experience that, at least for me, um, I was able even to talk the way I talk it now and to perceive within the split of a second as he was talking. It was a deep and powerful experience that took years to be integrated. And so right now, sitting here with you and be in a state of putting words into it, it's more an experience rather than anything else. So he talked about this Paramhansa that I connect with, and he said, it's the supreme swan. He is the creature, it is the creature that is flying closest to the source. And there's nothing higher than that. That feels is sitting with me in my soul. And that has been always the power I've been lifted when I was really down, lifted to get a new direction, a new perspective, to give me courage, to connect me to the people, to take me to the right path, to literally guide me. So I feel deeply connected with that without necessarily having either the shape of one or the shape of the other. And now I know why. At least I know why. It makes sense for me. Yeah, it makes it real.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that. So before we wind up, uh, is there anything else you'd like to share or tell us about either the kind of the learning part, the healing skills of the medicine wheel, or your personal journey, how it's um it's helped you grow, change, evolve? Um,
Well,
back in we're back
it,
in January. I've interrupted you twice there, but you go ahead.
no, please complete what you've been saying. I thought you had completed, that's why.
I was just going to say anything else would probably come up in our next video. We were going to be together as a panel, everyone who's participated, uh, which would be a live call that anyone who wants to join can come and watch, participate in, and ask questions. Maybe there's something that you've said that someone connects with that they'd like to ask you something about, or one of the other practitioners, the shaman who've been sitting with me like this and sharing their journey and their life. So there's a space for that if something gets left out today. But
Mhm.
there was something.
Yeah, first of all, it's been a joy and an honor to have done the medicine wheel with you. I deeply know that I've called you and that you have responded to this call as soul to soul, and I really want to thank you in every level. And I want to thank you for being in my life, even as a friend after that, up until today, and how much I appreciate all of your existence and everything that you give as a friend and as a teacher. And I'm deeply appreciative of it. I find that having a little bit of research, at least in Greece, about what is available out there in shamanic work, I couldn't find an equivalent that was for me in integrity and into the value that you give into the medicine wheel. And especially because I find here in Greece that they run it over a weekend and that's one direction. And I'm like, there's so much, it's impossible. And even psychologists are offering it like that. So it's like,
Mm.
and I'm not against psychologists or anyone, I'm in the path, but into that, it's like the value that you put in is very different to the value that I have come across, at least in Greece. Um, I'm happy that I came across the shamanic work after everything that I've done. in all my path. And firstly, because it was another level of learning. It deepened all my experience and skills. It broadened my consciousness, opened me up in many different ways, made me much more connected to my body, much more sensitive into energies to feel and also release and work with people. Made me a much clearer channel to work with. And it has enhanced every area of my life. For example, looking at the medicine wheels that we talked about, number 1 and number 2, that I've followed so far. And that's perhaps something that people can take with them, because it's important for them to understand that every time, if you go ahead with a shamanic journey, it's important for you to know that every time that you go into the medicine wheel, and you complete each medicine wheel, you just take all this work deeper within you, which means that you can carry it and bring it forth to offer it to other people. And that only means that you go deeper into your own world, into your own experiences, beliefs, emotions, survival tactics to be released. And perhaps in medicine wheel number 1, it wasn't coincidental that I stayed stuck between the West and the North for so long, and it took forever. It felt forever. I felt it deep down in my skin. But it's important because after I finished and completed medicine wheel number 1, and we went to medicine wheel number 2, although the worldwide crisis had hit with, COVID, and things were so hard, it was so easy for us to work on the medicine wheel with no obstacles. I was like, this is really something to say, and it has a meaning. My life became much easier. And I've mentioned before, I've never lived an easy life. It became much easier to flow and find ways, even when things seemed impossible. And I will keep that. And I will welcome people to, if they feel drawn to do the work, if you feel drawn to do this work, every time you visit it at your own time and space and convenience, you go deeper, you enrich your world, and you enrich the world you live in. So that.
There's a phrase someone said that I picked up once and I've held on to, which is that how we do one thing is how we do all things. I think it might be attributed to Marcus Aurelius originally. I'm not sure. He's got lots of really snappy one-liners. But I think it is just that. Within what you're saying, for me, sometimes is reflected the thinking that, well, I've done this, I've put the energy in, I've put the time in, I've done the medicine wheel. And you're like, tick, I've done year 1 of my degree, tick, it's done. I can let it go into a back room and forget about it. Dust can gather on it. Now I'm focusing on the next thing. And where this kind of thinking might show up in relation to choices about following the medicine wheel again. And I'm avoiding using the word repeating or redoing because they both point to the past. And should someone choose to journey in a structured and led way around the medicine wheel a further time, it will offer them all sorts of opportunities. Even in the decision making can come up this thinking about, well, I've done it, it's done, I don't need to do it again. Because we're used to this thinking, certainly in Western culture, that if you have to repeat something, and that's how we're here, not doing it again from a place of being new, we're repeating it. We repeat things because generally we've been told we've failed them, didn't get a good enough mark, didn't pass your driving test. And it's all a series of didn'ts and haven'ts. And yet, stepping into the medicine wheel and following the structured journey a second time brought you new insights, new perspectives, and you do go deeper. People who are, when we're following the medicine wheel journey the first time, and it is a unique and powerful journey, and it's very different to other programs or courses. It's not a program or course. It's a deep, powerful personal experience that's life-changing, right? Um, people
And
don't sorry? Yeah.
you complete, and I'll share.
When they come around the second time, you often don't remember elements of the first journey because we're all very much engaged with our personal work. And in a way, it's just reassuring when someone says, "I don't remember that last time. Is that new?" And I say, "No, no, no. It's just, we did do this. In fact, you were part of it with me when I did it." Um, Something like in a demonstration or something. So what it says to me is that our ability to form memory is dependent upon our ability to be present. And that presence requires clarity and the capacity for focused awareness. And we can't do that if our attention, our awareness, is absorbed in the past, in other wounds, in other agendas, if we're still living in a fight or flight kind of stimulated kind of way, and we're thinking, never mind what else is going on in the world, I still have to watch out for that hand. Remember that hand?
Coming back.
Any minute now, just when I relax, just when things are going well, that's
Automatic response.
going to come again. And we create it. This is the bizarre thing. We create it and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I was right not to step forward. I was right not to, because look, I got hit in the face again. And these, although they sound like really pointless, you know, where's the value in this experience repeating in our life? What it does do, it goes back to what I believe, it goes back to what you were saying in the beginning, Matoula, about survival. It fits in with the conditioning that we have created for ourselves that keeps us in a place where we feel small and we associate small with being safe. If I don't show up, if I don't speak up, if no one can see me, I'll be safe. Yeah. And we don't attract. Maybe no one knows how to slap us in the face because they can't hear us or see us. We're just hiding in plain sight in our own lives. Yeah? But something comes along, something unexpected, and something that choreographs our life in a different way. And we're faced with the choice: stay small, stay stuck, stay as we are, or face change.
Exactly. And it's funny you said we didn't speak about the East. I think the focus was on the difficult parts of the medicine wheel. Difficult parts, I mean, where people usually go stuck with, where I went stuck with, and basically how it might look like difficulty. And this is basically to move to the East requires to have gone from, the survival to the beliefs and to what else can be there to be able to arrive to the East, to arrive at the place of the source, to connect, to hover and fly, and be able to look at everything detached and just be, know who you are at that space. But to arrive in that place, you need to move with your whole body in these experiences, as every direction, is calling you to. And I need to say, hummingbird is the part of the soul that's going to drag you out of this place, even if you don't want to take you there. And it might not necessarily feel so good. No, I think I'm using the right word of good in the right context.
It's right and wrong. They're such perilous things because you can only be in one place or the other.
Exactly.
But
So,
Tula, there's so much more we could talk about. I know that because we know each other quite well, and I know there's so much more about you that you'd like to say, and I would love people to hear. Um, but we're kind of getting to the end of the time we've set aside to talk this morning. So, as usual, there's information at the end of the video and will be in the notes underneath so people can contact you. And they can contact you for healing work as a shaman or through breath work. Yes. And are you still training in, is it psychology, psychotherapy?
um, I'm still in studies in psychotherapy, so I can't offer sessions in psychotherapy right now. And I'm in practice with my counseling and mental health. I am in practice. I can offer sessions as still in practice, and I'm getting my diploma soon.
But I would imagine that your counseling skills come into play in all of your work with people. And I
Absolutely.
would imagine that there's an element of crossover between your breath work and your shamanic practice. I don't know. So
Yes.
I'll ask you about all of these things if they contact you, if they want to work with you in person, which would mostly be in Athens and sometimes
Well,
in.
physically in Athens, I usually travel a few places like Mykonos sometimes, and people can reach me worldwide. I have clients in UK, in the US, in
Yeah,
um, Arab Emirates. I can work online as well
yeah.
with all of it.
In-person work and also distance work. But Tulip, thank you for sharing your medicine wheel journey, your personal journey, your stories, especially about your Paramhansa.
Oh,
Uh, I always connect the name Paramhansa with Yogananda, of course, which also connects back through to Babaji as well. Anyway, so everything there are these lovely little threads that link everything up together. But for today, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Um, do send a message, connect with Matoula if you'd like to know more about her work or to work with her. And I look forward to seeing you all next time, or look forward to you seeing us. Much love, and bye bye for everyone for now. Speak
oh.
soon. Bye.